We need to talk about Kanye West because he just released a new documentary about his life, and people are noticing that he's not in a good place. There's a viral scene where he's yelling at Kris Jenner, and it's shocking to see. The clip has sparked a lot of attention online, and surprisingly, a lot of people are feeling sympathy for the Kardashians, which isn't something you hear often. The documentary, called Whose Name and directed by Nico Ballesteros, goes through Kanye's life, highlighting his career and the first moments when his public image started to crack. It begins by revisiting one of the earliest controversies in his career: the infamous Taylor Swift VMA incident. This is the moment when Kanye went on stage during her acceptance speech and interrupted her, claiming she didn't deserve the award. That moment created a huge media storm and even led to the cancellation of his planned tour with Lady Gaga. The tension between Kanye and Taylor lasted for years, and although they tried to patch things up briefly, it was never really resolved. This incident, as the documentary shows, was one of the first signs that controversy could repeatedly affect his opportunities and his career. Moving forward, the documentary covers some of the more personal challenges Kanye faced. At one point, he admits to being off his medication for a couple of months and tells Kim Kardashian that he believes it's his destiny, or calling from the universe. This leads into a discussion of his hospitalization in 2016, which followed the abrupt cancellation of the rest of his St. Pablo tour. That hospitalization is referenced multiple times throughout the documentary, not by showing it directly, but as a turning point in his life. Kanye frames it as a critical moment that changed him, influencing how he sees the media and industry figures. The way the press talked about him during that period seems to have created tension with his family and fostered a deep distrust of outsiders in the years after. The film also explores Kanye's political awakening. In 2018, he started wearing a red Trump hat and delivered a pro-Trump speech on Saturday Night Live. He claimed that he was being bullied by people who told him not to go on stage or wear the hat. In that speech, he also mentioned that whenever a black subject, like Bill Cosby, comes up, a black comedian should be the one discussing it. This created tension with SNL cast member Michael Che, who confronted Kanye afterward, asking why he had called out the cast. Kanye insisted that his issue wasn't with Michael personally, but with the network. The conversation became heated, and a third party had to step in to calm things down while the cameras stopped rolling. In the documentary, Kanye explains that wearing the hat was a way to resist control, but he also admits that politics scared him. He said he sometimes felt like his life was in danger when involved in political matters, even during his visit to the White House. He reportedly told staff that he needed to be inside for safety, fearing for his life when he was associated with politics or wearing the hat. This sense of danger and paranoia seems to run through much of his recent life. Another significant part of the documentary shows how Kanye blames the Kardashians for contributing to his mental health struggles. There's a very emotional scene where Kris Jenner breaks down in tears while confronting Kanye. She's pleading with him to take his medication and look after himself, but Kanye says he would rather die than take it. He wants Kris to admit that the Kardashian-Jenner family played a role in his mental health issues. Kanye claims that no one in the family has acknowledged the impact they had on him. Kris responds with compassion, agreeing that the family did influence him. But she also emphasizes that what people online say shouldn't matter as much as what those close to him think. She tells him that she loves him, wants him to be okay, and hopes that Kim can love Kanye in the way he wants to be loved. Following this, the documentary shows Kanye and the family taking a trip to Uganda. Kim is emotional during this journey, speaking with people close to Kanye who urge him to remember who he was a few years ago and listen to advice. Kim reminds him that it's important to accept being told no, sharing that people often say no to her, and she doesn't react by lashing out. The Uganda trip seems to have had a calming effect on Kanye. Afterward, he steps back from discussing politics publicly, likely due to paranoia about his safety. During this time, Kim and Kanye renew their vows. She promises to stand by him, and Kanye begins a new phase of his life, presenting himself as more grounded and focused on faith through his Sunday service events. Despite this, by 2020, Kanye returned to politics by announcing his presidential run. At the same time, he was immersed in his vision for Wyoming, where he worked on sustainable projects and experimental architecture under the Yeezy brand. These projects showed a more ambitious side of him, trying to build something lasting and impactful. The documentary paints a picture of Kanye as a man constantly battling internal and external pressures. His struggles with mental health, public scrutiny, and family dynamics are front and center, giving viewers insight into the ways these forces have shaped him. Through personal reflections, heated confrontations, and moments of vulnerability, the film attempts to trace the path that brought him to where he is now. The scenes with the Kardashians, his political statements, and his artistic pursuits all weave together to show a complex figure navigating fame, personal crisis, and ambition simultaneously. Even with these challenges, Kanye continues to push boundaries, whether in music, fashion, or public discourse. The documentary doesn't shy away from showing his flaws, including moments of aggression, paranoia, and tension with loved ones, but it also highlights his creativity and vision. The moments of emotional honesty, especially in interactions with Kim and Kris, reveal the human side behind the public persona. They show how his relationships, family dynamics, and personal convictions have influenced his choices, sometimes in ways that have been misunderstood by the public. Even after all of that, Kanye kept making shocking statements that caused chaos online. Fans started questioning whether they even wanted to support him anymore. During this period, as he returned to politics and went on long rants, he mentioned that he and Kim had at one point considered not having North. Soon after, they officially filed for divorce, saying they just couldn't make their marriage work. The documentary also shows Kanye's belief that he was untouchable. He seemed to think he could say whatever he wanted without facing any consequences. He often claimed that companies like Adidas could never afford to lose him, because he was responsible for making them billions. That belief seemed to give him a sense of invincibility, as if he could speak freely without worry. But as we saw later, that wasn't true. After he made anti-Semitic comments, Adidas cut ties with him, and instead of slowing down, Kanye doubled down. One of the most controversial moments was when he released White Lives Matter shirts, showing little concern for the real-world impact of his words. By this point, many people and organizations were unwilling to work with him. Reports say that Live Nation and AEG refused to book him for tours, and even the Sphere in Las Vegas turned him down. The documentary highlights how Kanye struggled to explain his own story. He repeatedly complains that the media focuses on his bipolar diagnosis, but he pushes back, saying he is misunderstood, or that he is simply being himself off his medication. Essentially, he's aware that the public interprets his outbursts as mental health symptoms, but he resists that label. Instead, he frames his behavior as intentional, political, spiritual, or visionary, but never as a mental health crisis. Kanye appears desperate to control his own narrative, yet trapped by the consequences of his actions. He seems unable to accept criticism or advice from those close to him, and that tension clearly played a role in his falling out with Kim. While the Kardashians are often controversial figures, many online observers have noted that Kim stood by him through everything. As someone who used to be a huge Kanye fan, I remember defending him, arguing that people misunderstood him, that they were taking things out of context. I sounded like some of the most die-hard supporters, the kind who excuse almost anything their favorite figure does. But looking back, I can't believe anyone could say that Kim was a bad wife to him, or that she's responsible for his decline. It feels like Kanye never truly had good intentions for her. I think he became obsessed with her beauty, and the status she had achieved without any real talent, and that his intentions were more about control than love. Once Kim stopped allowing that control, he began to lash out publicly. Despite not being a Kim Kardashian fan myself, I have to respect how she handles stressful and chaotic situations. There are video clips circulating of Kanye going off on her and other family members. His emotions are extreme, and you can see Kim start to cry during some of these moments. Yet, she manages to stay calm, cool, and collected, even when the situation is overwhelming. That ability to stay composed seems like a mix of personal strength and possibly a trauma response, shaped by past experiences like the Paris robbery and her time with Kanye. Watching this, it's hard not to feel sympathy for Kim. In fact, the documentary doesn't seem to have the effect Kanye probably expected. Instead of making people feel aligned with him, it highlights how chaotic and unpredictable he can be. There was even a moment in Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kim called her calmness her superpower. Seeing her now, it's clear that she's learned to maintain her composure even in the most stressful moments. And watching Kanye react to being told no is like seeing a child throw a tantrum. Throughout the film, Kanye insists that he is more himself when off medication and only wants people around him who understand his purpose in life. But longtime fans are left feeling uneasy. Even Michael Che, who tried to explain that he once admired Kanye, admits he can't support what he's become. By the end, Kanye seems willing to risk everything to do what he wants, no matter the cost. He acknowledges the losses he's faced, but he appears at peace with them, even if that makes his downfall feel tragic. Ultimately, the documentary paints a portrait of a man who has consistently pushed boundaries, but at a personal and professional cost. He's lost relationships, business deals, and public support, yet continues to move forward according to his own vision. The story shows how fame, mental health, family dynamics, and ambition intersect in ways that are both fascinating and heartbreaking. Kanye's journey, as the documentary presents it, is a mix of brilliance, stubbornness, and self-destruction, and it leaves viewers wondering what comes next. So that's the latest on Kanye West. If you've seen the documentary or clips from it, I'd love to hear what you think. Share your thoughts because this is definitely a lot to process. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.